Welcome again. Oh, man. What a day. Hopefully, you guys having a great day whenever you're watching this, or a great night whenever you're watching this, or we're having a great time, period. I want to talk about two novels I read, two graphic novels. One is called X-Men Deadly Genesis. Let's look at the back cover. Looks nice. What is X-Men Deadly Genesis about? Well, the first thing is that you got to know, if you know the history of the X-Men, like Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, Angel, get sent to investigate this big mutant thing, which is called Krakoa. They get captured, overwhelmed. What they did, they rewrote rewrote the canon of how X-Men became, how about the X-Men story. So what happens? There was a group of mutants that he used before he hired Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, you know, Banshee, Thunderbird. I think who else was it? Somebody I'm missing. Oh well. Before he hired them, he hired another group of mutants to go to Krakoa. One of them name was Vulcan, which is Cyclops and Havoc's younger brother. He rescues his brother Scott and sends him away for the professor, and they get capped. They get even captured. Then, of course, Giant Size X-Men. When those new X-Men came out, they rescued all the people, and Krakoa was shot into space. Well, Vulcan was trapped inside that Krakoa. Long time, and another person named Darwin, which is like an environmental kind of person, evolution kind of mutant. Years later, he gets awakened and he goes back to Earth. He's more powerful than ever. He's looking for Professor X. Funny thing is, this story takes place after the House of M, where every mutant got depowered and they got their powers back. But Professor X, whenever he loses his telepathic abilities, he can walk, which is kind of funny. So what happens? He's walking. Vulcan orchestrated this whole mess where he kills off Banshee. They're looking for. They find this tape about about what happened. It throws the whole X-Men canon on his head. Let's just put it that way. And I was riveted by this story. The backup stories of how these original other X-Men, the interim X-Men, was even awesome, which explained their backstories and everything. But this story is pretty freaking awesome. And then, of course, Professor X comes into play. Basically, let goes the truth, because he mind wiped Scott so he wouldn't remember his brother or anything like that. That was one of the nasty things that Professor X does. And it just created this whole big mess. After a while, you get Vulcan's backstory, how he was basically born in the Shi'ar Empire, so he gets pissed off and he flies off into space going after the Shi'ar Empire, which ties into the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire and the Emperor Vulcan, that storyline. Professor X is no longer a mutant. They do an impromptu funeral. Scott looks at Professor X, tells him to get the fuck out. He kicked Professor X out of his own home. The X-Men was still based in Grob Macon Lane, which is Professor X's actual home. Because he wasn't a mutant anymore, and Scott told him to get the fuck out. He evicted the man who owns the home away, and he leaves. And that was the climax of that story. The climax. Wow, I could tell I'm tired. Yeah. Besides that, that's the end of the story. But like I said, this is a very good. I've heard about it from Scott Porter and his Hero Clicks unboxing of the Rise and Fall of the Shi'ar Empire, which comes out next month. Which I can't wait to get my hands on that. He talked about this story, and I'm glad he did because it is a good story. I do. If you're an X-Men fan, I recommend this book. I definitely recommend this book if you're an X-Men fan. Man, this is good. This is very good. For $20, it was a good deal. I bought this about a month ago. So, the next book is X-Men Schism. During another time, they decided to move to a little. They have their own little island off the coast of San Francisco called Utopia. Now, this is during the time where I stopped collecting comics, so these two stories I didn't know nothing about until recently. The Schism, as you can see, Wolverine versus Cyclops. Cyclops became more militant. He became more like Magneto. And Wolverine was more like Professor X, which is kind of funny. Which is kind of hilariously funny. Cyclops, he wants equality for all mutant kind, but he wants them to be ready because of the world hates him. Wolverine's like, no, let the kids be kids, and they're fighting against they're fighting against the new Hellfire Club, which created this really super mutant. And this mutant was like pretty much about to wreck shit of Utopia. And all the while, Wolverine and Cyclops is fighting each other. Then one part, they saw all the other X-Men just start attacking the Super Sentinel. They put their different side and start whooping that Sentinel's ass, kick that Sentinel's ass to high heaven. And then after that, everything was said and done. Wolverine like, I'm out of here. I can't take this anymore. You became something you're not. Cyclops said, hell fast, and he's like, you gonna stay in Utopia? You stay in Utopia. Wolverine's like, if you want to leave with me, you leave with me. And what happened? Certain people of the X-Men stayed, some people of the X-Men left, and so he created the Jeans Grey School of Higher Learning. So that's Utopia. It's this. I heard so much about this story, and it's really, really good. I'm surprised I missed this one by Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron, this was written by Ed Brubaker, which is a really good story. This is written by Jason Aaron, which is another good story. Ed Brubaker also did a lot of Uncanny X-Men stories back in the day. Jason Aaron did Thor, the female Thor, of course. But other than that, these are two good X-Men books. If you get a chance to read them, read them. If you love X-Men, I'm telling you something. Here's the thing. I'm not saying to read them just to read them. I'm saying if you love X-Men, if you love the X-Men, this is a book you should read. These two books is the books you should read. And with that being said, thank you very much for this occasion. I hope you guys are doing well, and hopefully we'll see each other We'll see each other very soon. Another day. Talk to you later.